They told you to study hard, get good grades, find a stable job, follow the path. And you did. Most of us did. But no one told you that the path itself was the trap. From the moment you were born, someone was already deciding what you should want, what success looks like, what a good life feels like, what kind of person you should become. They handed you a script and called it freedom, and you took it. Because everyone around you took it too. And when everyone is walking the same direction, it feels less like a trap. It feels like the right way. The school system doesn't teach you how to think. It teaches you how to obey. Sit in rows. Follow instructions. Don't question the teacher. Memorize. Repeat. Pass the test. Not because the information matters, but because the behavior matters. They're not building minds. They're building employees. And when you graduate, you walk straight into an office and sit in rows again. Follow instructions again. Don't question the boss. Memorize the process. Repeat the task. Pass the performance review. The building changed. The cage didn't. And nobody lied to you. That's the disturbing part. Your parents genuinely believed in the path. Your teachers genuinely thought they were helping. The system doesn't need villains. It reproduces itself through people who never questioned it, raising children who never question it, who raise children who never question it. Generation after generation. Average, passed down like an inheritance. Social media told you to compare yourself. Every scroll, someone richer, someone more successful, someone happier, someone with a better body, a bigger house, a more exciting life. And slowly, you stopped thinking about what you want and started chasing what they have. But here's what they didn't show you. The person you're comparing yourself to is comparing themselves to someone else. Everyone is performing, everyone is curating, and at the center of all this comparison, nobody actually knows what they want. They just know what looks good. That's not ambition. That's a mirror facing a mirror. Infinite reflection. No substance. No direction. Just noise dressed as aspiration. Nietzsche called it the herd. Millions of people moving together, thinking the same thoughts, wanting the same things, not because they chose to, because they were never taught how to choose differently. The herd doesn't need chains, it just needs comfort. Give a man a salary, a Netflix account, and a weekend, and he will never ask dangerous questions. He will never ask, why am I here? He will never ask, is this actually what I want? He will never ask, what would I do if I wasn't afraid? He will just consume, rest, and come back Monday, ready to repeat. Because the system doesn't need you broken. It needs you just comfortable enough to never want more. Comfort is the most sophisticated prison ever built. It has no bars, no guards, no locks, just enough warmth to make you forget that you're still inside. The prisoner who suffers knows he's a prisoner. The prisoner who is comfortable calls his cell a home. The system isn't evil. It doesn't hate you. It's worse than that. It's indifferent. It doesn't care if you suffer. It doesn't care if you spend 40 years in a job that slowly hollows you out. It doesn't care if you die with a list of things you never did, never said, never became. It only cares that you remain functional, productive enough to generate value, distracted enough to not ask questions, sedated enough to not cause trouble, average enough to not threaten the order. You are not a person to the system. You are a unit, and units are replaceable. And the most dangerous part? You defend it. When someone leaves the path, you call them irresponsible. When someone questions the system, you call them arrogant. When someone refuses the average life, you call them unrealistic. When someone walks away from a stable job to build something real, you tell them to be careful, to think about security, to be practical. But what you're really saying is, don't make me question my own choices. Because deep down, their courage reminds you of your own silence. Their movement reminds you of your own stillness, and that is unbearable. So you call it recklessness, and you go back to scrolling. History doesn't remember the ones who followed the path. It remembers the ones who burned it. Socrates walked through Athens asking questions no one wanted to answer. They gave him a choice: stop thinking or die. He drank the poison. Because to him, a life without questioning was already a kind of death. Nietzsche watched the modern world build its temples to comfort and mediocrity, and he wrote against it with everything he had. They called him mad. They called him dangerous. He was both, and he was right. Every person who ever changed something was first called too much, too intense, too idealistic, too unwilling to just fit in, because they were dangerous, not to themselves, to the system. The system can handle criminals. It can handle the broken. What it cannot handle is a fully awakened human being who refuses to be managed. So the real question isn't, how do I become successful? The real question is, successful by whose definition? Because if you're chasing someone else's idea of greatness, you're not living your life, you're living their projection of it. You're performing a role in a story someone else wrote and calling it your destiny. Most people will never ask that question, not because they can't, because they're afraid of the answer. Because if the answer is wrong, if the life they've been building, the sacrifices they've been making, the years they've been spending, if all of it was for the wrong thing, then what? You can recover from failure. You cannot easily recover from the realization that you succeeded at the wrong life. That kind of truth doesn't just disturb you, it dismantles you. And most people would rather stay comfortable than be dismantled, even if dismantling is exactly what they need. Because dismantling is where it begins. Descartes sat alone in a room. No books, no teachers, no inherited truths, just a man and his doubt. He questioned everything, his senses, his memories, his beliefs, his reality. He stripped it all away until only one thing remained. I think, therefore I am. Strip away the noise, strip away the expectations, strip away the borrowed dreams and the second-hand ambitions. Strip away what your parents wanted, what your culture demanded, what your followers expect. What's left? That is you, not the role, not the performance, not the carefully constructed image. You. And that is the most terrifying and liberating thing a human being can face. Marcus Aurelius didn't have an easy life. He was the most powerful man in the world, and he used that power to constantly question himself. Every morning he reminded himself, you will meet difficult people today, ungrateful people, dishonest people, and it doesn't matter, because you know what you are. That's not motivation, that's philosophy lived from the inside out. A man who refused to let the world define him, even when the world literally answered to him. You don't need to be a philosopher. You don't need to read every book. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to start asking the questions that the system told you not to ask. Why do I want what I want? Who taught me to want it? What would I build if nobody was watching? What would I become if I stopped performing? These questions are dangerous. The system knows that. That's why it keeps you busy. That's why it keeps you entertained. That's why it gives you just enough comfort to stop you from sitting in silence long enough to actually hear yourself think. The system is designed to keep you average, but it was designed by average men, men who were also afraid, men who also ran from the silence, men who chose the comfort of the known over the terror of the possible. You don't have to make that choice. You are sitting here, at this hour, with this, which means some part of you already knows. You were not built for average. The discomfort you feel when you hear these words, that's not weakness, that's recognition. That's the part of you that remembers what you were before the system got to you, before the grades, before the comparisons, before the performance, before you learned to shrink yourself to fit the mold. That part of you is still there, quiet, waiting. Not for the right moment, not for permission, not for someone to tell you it's okay, just waiting for you to finally choose it. The only question left is, will you?